Hey everyone, are you wondering where your next location should be for an investment property? Well, I believe it should be South Amboy, New Jersey, and I'm going to give you 4 reasons why in this video. Why South Amboy, New Jersey particularly is because this is where I've had my first residential live and then rent. I'm actually completing the rental portion as we speak. And I believe not only is South Amboy a great spot as of now, it's a growing location. I believe due to a lot of seismic shifts within our culture and due to COVID, there's actually going to be a lot more people looking to move out of the cities into New Jersey, and it's a real prime spot. So, just to introduce myself, I'm Ariel Herrera, your fellow data scientist with the AnalyticsAriel channel. We bridge the gap between real estate and technology. Today's going to be more so on the real estate side, but please feel free to subscribe to this channel so you can get more insights. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually location. This is the first and I think most major point about South Amboy. So those of you who are not familiar with New Jersey, South Amboy is located like in that armpit section. So it's right against the water. It's on the East Coast. And one of the main pain points for people that live in New Jersey is because it's so heavily, densely populated, there's a lot of traffic. And normally people may have a 2-hour commute to and from work, and that's considered like a normal thing, which I did for some time, and awful, awful. So being close proximity to New York City is a huge thing. However, the closer you get to New York, the more expensive it is. Yet South Amboy is still relatively in a space where there's a lot of affordability. Homes go for, I would say, 3-bedroom. You can get between 250 on the lower end if it hasn't been remodeled in some time, and then on the higher end around like 330. Which if you were to try to do that in Jersey City, the prices would be probably 3 times the amount. So focusing on location, it's close to New York City. What if you don't have a car? Well, South Amboy actually has a train station right here, which I'm actually walking distance from. And it's considered one of the major train stations in the New Jersey Transit East Coast Line. What does that mean? Is that New Jersey Transit has express trains, it's always hitting South Amboy. So one of the other places I had looked at originally was Perth Amboy. That's the neighboring town above the water. And the issue there is that it's not considered a major train station, so a lot of the express trains skip over it, and then you're forced to be on trains where you're hitting every single stop. An example as to how this is really beneficial is if you take certain trains in the AM versus the PM, you can jump on South Amboy and go straight into Newark, which is New Jersey's one of the major cities, and be in Manhattan in under like I would say 45 minutes, which is really great. Second part of the location piece is that South Amboy is right next to the water. Like I can see not only the train but the water from where I currently reside, which is amazing. So they've actually done a lot of development in the last 10 years. There's an area called the South Amboy Waterfront, where it's actually like a beach area, and a lot of people are fishing daytime and nighttime as well. One of the things about New Jersey is that beaches you have to pay for to get on. South Amboy isn't one of those. Yes, it is a lot smaller than when you look at Belmar and Asbury. However, if you want to take out your beach chair, hang out by the beach for some time, it's doable. There's also trails, and there's also baseball park, field, a lot of things going on, and all of the schools are actually walking distance. So in the mornings, after I would go to YMCA, I'd see a lot of the elderly folks actually volunteer in order to let the kids pass by as they are walking to school. So there's a lot of like safety there, which is really great for a parent. And then another thing which I am obsessed with is because I grew up in central Jersey, about 30 minutes south of South Amboy, where everything was driving. You want to go get milk, you got to drive for it. You want to go get toilet paper, you have to drive for it. So that was awful. And every time you wanted to go to New York or somewhere, there's only one single highway, Route 9, so much traffic, awful. But South Amboy has major highways right next to it. Like I'm talking, if I were to get into my car right now, I could be in 4 major highways within a 5-minute time frame. This includes the New Jersey Turnpike, the Garden State Parkway, Route 35, Route 9, and Route 1 isn't too far off as well. It's also pretty close to Rutgers University. So if there was someone in the family who was a student and wanted to commute into Rutgers, it's about 20 minutes, which is excellent as well. So hope I sold you on the location piece, as it solves a lot of problems that New Jersey people currently have. Let's go on to the jobs piece. So in South Amboy, it's mostly a working class type of environment, so more like a B class. For those who aren't familiar with the grade names, investments or properties usually go between C, B, and A. A is where you get your best tenants. These are people who have dual income and high-paying jobs. B is more of a working class, and then C is more the lower tier. So current jobs, most people, so a working class, but there's also jobs around the area that are starting to grow more. So in Perth Amboy specifically, they have warehouses for Target that's being built up right now, as well as the Real, which I believe is already currently residing. It was recently built. I had a friend that worked there, not that specific one, but she was like, she couldn't wait until the Perth Amboy one was opening. And then second, a lot of companies actually have like smaller offices. So their main ones may be in New York, but they have smaller ones distributed throughout New Jersey. So my company that I currently work for actually is enlarging. They moved their footprint out of New York City, and they are having a larger footprint in Jersey City as well as Woodbridge. There's been so much interest in the Woodbridge area, which is about 10-minute drive from South Amboy, that they're actually considering how they can expand that office. And due to COVID, for a lot of people moving out of cities, not wanting to be in tight spaces, I can see a lot more people, a lot more offices actually having larger footprints in New Jersey and in these areas, where South Amboy would be really easy to access those points. You might wonder, why are these companies not in South Amboy specifically? South Amboy isn't that big of a town. It's actually relatively small. You don't see any skyscrapers of any sort, which is what gives it that old kind of charm, and I think that's special about it. So I'm going to go on to the next stage, which is number 3, and that is investor strategies. South Amboy is prime for investor strategies. I would say all those towns in the East Coast that are by the armpit of New Jersey, in the Middlesex County, which is Woodbridge, Perth Amboy, South Amboy. You could even link in like Lawrence Harbor in there too. So all these towns, and South Amboy specifically, have a lot of multifamily homes. And this allows you to do different strategies. So house hacking is a strategy that investors use, where they may live in one of the units while they rent out the other. This is beneficial because trying to invest in a property can cost you, you have to put down 25%. So say if the home is $200,000, right? Then you're going to have to put down $50,000 in order to have it as an investment property. However, if you're living in it, if it's your primary residence, you can go as low as 3.5% using loans like FHA. So you have a lot of that type of real estate around South Amboy where it is multifamily in order to do that kind of house hack. Or you could do what I did, was live and rent. So I lived in the property for a year and now I'm renting it out. I also did house hack it at some points, single family home, but I had other people living in the back room. Also, a little bit of a background on demographics. South Amboy is a 60-40 split between own and rent, which when you're looking to look for an area to invest in, you definitely want to see an area that has more own than rent. So that passes that check mark right there. And then the last part of why South Amboy is so great to invest in is because of growth. So that's number 4, is growth. And over the last year, just for me being here, I've seen so much change in this town. They've done a lot of construction. There's actually like small multi-family like units being built out around it. But the main thing is that there's a ferry coming. There's a ferry coming that they're building out. They used to have it back decades ago, and they revived it for a bit when 9/11 occurred in order to give people another way to get into the city. But they're now rebuilding it. And it's a ferry that goes from South Amboy into Manhattan within 45 minutes. The reason why this is huge is because a commute on a boat is actually a lot more like simple and freeing than being stuck on a bus, for example. They actually have had in more south of Jersey, maybe like 30 minutes away from where South Amboy is, already having a ferry that goes into the city. And a lot of people had signed up for that. So it's going to cause a lot of demand. And by going on a ferry, you alleviate all that traffic. But there's also more things that are going on. So they're not just going to build a ferry randomly. They're actually building. Oh, you might see my cat in the background. He's a little crazy. So they're also building luxury apartments around this ferry too. This is going to be several years out. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, but it does show. I think they call them Manhattan luxury apartments. It does show a lot of growth being done. And then the huge one is the Riverton project. Now, the Riverton project is not just for South Amboy. Well, it's like the edge of South Amboy, and it's also going to be Sayreville too. So it's going to be considered the largest mixed-use project in New Jersey history, $2.5 billion. It's going to be right around the armpit of New Jersey and kind of wrap around where that water piece is. And right now it's like pretty gross. It's just like land that's not used, and the grass is all like dried up. But they've done a lot of construction since. And in this new Riverton project, they're going to combine residential, retail, entertainment, marina, office, and hotel space all into one section, which makes sense because there's so much water here. Like, there should be some like really fancy marina. I mean, they have the land for it, and now they're actually going to do it. So it does remind me a little bit like Rockville in Maryland, as well as Harrison, New Jersey, where they're kind of just like these pop-up towns that have like 3 stories for the units, and then underneath is shops and apartments. Except this one I think is going to be a little bit more grander, especially that it has the marina piece. So definitely look into this. And it's not just talk. Like, they've gotten a lot of permits done. As I drive by over the bridge, there's this huge sign called Riverton, and prior to me actually moving in, I couldn't actually see the water from where I was at because there's a lot of trees in the way. But they've actually cleared a lot of that up, as well as doing more construction to have that ferry coming. So again, just to recap, there's 4 major things. It was location, jobs, investor strategies, as well as growth as for why you should be investing in South Amboy, New Jersey. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me about the town, as well as other areas in New Jersey close to it. Please subscribe, and thanks for watching.